One of the things that's important to consider is that when you do buy a savings plan, or when you're considering buying a savings plan, you really want to get an idea of what you should buy, how much you should buy, and then how to maximize your discount, right?
Right.
Now, AWS, when you go to buy them, they do make recommendations. The recommendations are pretty good, right? That I have seen out of my own personal observation, they've gotten better with time because they collect a lot of data, and you can get them specific to, whether you want to look at, I think 7 days, 30 days, or 60 days of usage to really kind of craft the recommendation. But before you buy, you want to kind of consider, it's like, okay, now that I know how they're calculated, right? How do I maximize my savings? Do I rely on instances where I'm going to see the most savings? Probably, if you want to maximize that. But the thing with savings plans is you don't have to buy it all at once. You can buy some now, and then you can buy more. You just keep stacking on savings plans to cover your usage.
Yeah, and I think a lot of what, particularly AWS's recommendations for this, are operating under the assumption that your usage over the past 7, 30, 60 days is typical, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because they can't recommend you something based on information they don't have, right? So I think what we often tell our customers is buy an amount that you're comfortable with soon, then reevaluate periodically and say, do we need to buy more? And buy more if you need to, because again, there's no penalty for any of that. I think the other thing too that's worth re-emphasizing about savings plans is that they do get calculated every hour, and there's no kind of notion of like, you don't bank savings over time, right? So if you spend no money in hour 1 and you spend a bunch of money in hour 2, the fact that you spent no money on compute in hour 1 doesn't really matter to the savings plan at all, right? Nothing really applies. And we'll drop a link in the description here to give you a detailed description of how the math works. In kind of, as Tim mentioned earlier, you're really just taking deepest discount first and adding your usage for that hour up until you exceed the amount that you committed, at which point you default back to on-demand rates.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
And that can be any mixture of EC2 stuff, Fargate stuff, Lambda stuff. And it applies to most instance types. I don't know if it applies to 100% of them off the top of my head. There may be some that it doesn't apply to, but if it is, they're very few.
What are you talking about for EC2?
For EC2 for sure.
Yeah, all EC2 instance type, all EC2 on demand are covered by, say, compute savings plans.
Right.
And so I think also, if you're not sure, it shows up on your bill, right? When you look at your bill, you'll see what you'll see is, instance type region, and then you'll see a plus, $400. Right. And then immediately the next line is compute savings plans discount, and then it will subtract that amount out until you run out.
Yep.
And then what you're left with is, whatever you paid and whatever your on-demand usage is on top of that.
For sure.
And as that number increases, the fact I like the fact that you can buy multiple savings plans and just keep layering them on top of each other.